And we're live. Welcome back to Heal with Gold Sunday night and back from Florida. Did I do both shows when I was away? What did I do? I don't even remember anymore, guys. My mind is fried. Please, as you come in, say hello. Let me know that you're here. You can tell me where you were tuning in from. Hello, Marina. And just share anything that you want to share with me. Penny is here. Salute is here. Aloha. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining me for this very, very, very special day. I've been talking to Gina about bringing her to our show probably right from the first week that I went, I was starting the show. I was talking to Gina, I think even before this show happened, and she was always in the plan, and I was just waiting for the right time. And this is the right time. Next week, we have another cancer warrior, and it was a perfect timing to have the two back-to-back amazing women. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Gina in. She's going to tell you all a little bit more about herself, about her background. We actually met through fashion in a fashion show in Florida. I was about done. The show was so not great. And then at the last minute, Gina came over to the booth and we struck a conversation and we talked for hours. And then she came to my place and we talked for a lot of hours. And that's the deal. Anytime that Gina and I get together, we have to leave ourselves at least like a 2-3 hour window because we just enjoy each other's company so much. And I am just so happy to bring her over. Without further ado, here is Gina. Hello. And you could hear everything that I was saying. Isn't that true? Isn't that all true?
It is. Hi, ladies. I want to see some beautiful people out there.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. I'm so excited and super grateful to be here. Just want to take a moment with that. But yes, you're 100% right. You were just about done. And then I showed up and jumped all over your beautiful things. And it was fantastic. And we just had that, when you meet someone, you have that really cool synergy. And I know you ladies out there get what I'm saying, but you have this vibe and you have this energy that is authentic. And I think all of us, as we grow a little older, a little wiser, hopefully we put some authenticity into our life. And then you're kind of like a magnet for all this cool stuff going on. So yes. And so now it's a few years later, and there's been a lot of interesting connections that's kind of landed us here, hopefully at the right time, right place. So I'm excited to be here and to show and tell and hopefully get some great engagement and just play tonight.
Perfect. So Gina, I think that if you want, you can introduce yourself as professionally before we go into your personal story, so people also understand a little bit about your background, your expertise is combining you can share about your retail expertise, but also the mindfulness, which was so critical for your healing.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. So first of all, how do I see or know my awesome peeps that are on here? Because I know I've been part of this great group since the first day.
I have to.
Hey, guys. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, I'll be to steal your show. So I don't have my glasses on. Hey, okay, Marina. Okay, Marina, another Marina. Oh yeah, I remember all these ladies. Aloha. Go, Penny. Oh my God, that's so cool, you guys. This is going to be awesome. Okay, so Jerry. Okay, awesome. Hello, got some waves there. Yeah. So without really, getting too crazy, I think all of us women, I think we're multidimensional, really. And I think what has landed since I came out of the womb, I've always loved serving people. I've always loved fashion. I've always been a self-help freak. Like you put me in a library, I go to the self-help section. I don't go to history or math or Hallmark. I go right into self-help, the bookstore all the time. And ever since I could remember, I really kind of stood in my own lane of retail, leadership, management, fashion, mentorship, nonprofits. And then I think as a little girl growing up in a Japanese household, my grandmother was full Japanese. My mom is half. My mom's name is Michiko. My granny is Chiko Kawahara, so very Japanese. And I kind of grew up with this idea of what meditation and mindfulness was at the root of things. So I kind of always tied in self help, mindfulness, meditation, retail leadership, and fashion all into bringing alive fully my own gifts to the fore. Because I wasn't going to be like a pianist, I'm not going to be a mathematician, but I always loved doing things that help dressing women, leading groups, and dealing with stress, trauma, and the dis-ease, not disease, the dis-ease of the body. And been able to do it pretty successfully, even though I've had my fair share of suffering. So I'm kind of in the lane right now, as you know, we've been working together a little bit, is I've worked for big corporations and small box and big box and retail management since I was about 16. And I finally decided after my cancer story, that it's time for me to be an entrepreneur and for me to take my fashion for passion, leadership, and mindfulness and create my own line. At the same time, do cancer care and support retreats and work with nonprofits and some other things. So I really feel like I'm in the stage with a lot of other women, especially during crazy COVID, is I'm trying to figure out with authenticity, where do I see myself, even in fear, uncertainty, in the future, my future Gina, my future self, by looking at my past self? And I think no matter what, it's going to be in service of other people, teach them how to reduce stress and trauma, and hopefully doing it beautifully after I finish some of my beautiful creations, which always have something to do with a butterfly, as you can tell. So yeah, and I one of the things is super important to me on the call is just to show up, um, and be real about tender topics. And so I feel like, honestly, Miriam, and the rest of this great crew out here, that I think a lot of you might feel this way too, and throw it in the chat if you do, is you're always trying to juggle, like, who am I showing up as? My authentic self. What are my gifts that when I go to sleep at night, I wake up in the morning, it's like, I got this. You know, if I throw you out there in the big bad world, you've got what? What do you bring fully alive for yourself that you just don't apologize for? And a lot of us
Amazing.
don't, yeah, a lot of us don't know that yet, and that's okay that we don't. But I think as we grow into this practice and this time together, mindfulness and meditation um, allows you to be more aware. Not only are we scientifically kind of dusting off the synapse and the neurons in the brain, but if we can get out of the brain and drop into the heart math of things, your body temple will truly tell you if you're on and off course. You're
Yes.
on and off course.
You
It's
know,
okay to
you know,
pivot. It's okay to pivot.
yeah, and you know what, I find that so many times the adversity that we go through is pulling us to the direction of where we really need to be. Many, many times, exactly what broke us is exactly where we need to be. It's where we have our strengths to
Mm.
share with the world. And
Yes.
right? Do
And
you agree?
if I may, can I share the plate? The
Yes.
plate.
Yes, it's crazy. You can share the plate. You can share also the patient sign.
Okay, somewhere. Okay, okay, peeps out there. So I'm going in the cabinet. I'm gonna get a cup of tea. I'm gonna hang out. Okay, then I got nervous. I don't mean I broke it myself. I have no idea. And so it was already broken in the cabinet, and I pulled it out. And went, oh, this is my granny's Japanese plate that I grew up with. Like it's like the perfect little plate. And it just happened before I come on the call for the most part. I'm like, I'm gonna kintsugi it. It is vintage and it was meant to be and meant to share it. So part of the reason why I'm sharing this, not only did it is it a It's like, here it is. But that's kind of like life. Oh, here it is. Ah, I'm not just my thoughts. And I'm going to talk about that later, but you're not your thoughts, right? Believe me, because this morning I went to kill my husband. He's still around, and I love him. He is adorable. Love him. You get what I mean? So you're not your thoughts. You just think you are. And so when things get a little cracked, a little tarnished, a little rusty, a little broken, we can drop back into hopefully a mindful state of awareness. And as we move through, we exercise that muscle, just like I can teach you, the gross motor function of a bicep type of a thing. It's really a skill to be learned. It's really just another skill to be learned that you can take anywhere, anytime, whatever's happening. More joy, less stress, more awareness of what? The present moment. And intentionally, I'm taking that pause. It's that really weird, uncomfortable dead space, like we definitely don't want on the media. But I say, heck, let's throw it in there. And it's okay, guys, to take a break and take a pause just for a moment to connect up that beautiful, ever present moment we call the gap. We have that stimuli that comes in, and call it anything that happened to you today or any day that you can remember, good, bad, or indifferent. And then you have the response to whatever the stimuli was, a tough conversation, a tough email, a tough health challenge, uncertainty during this time, wild and crazy holidays are upon us. And as the stimuli hits the body, there's this little space called the gap. And the gap is where the freedom lies. Why? Because what time is it? It's now. What time is it? It's now. And then you have a moment to reframe and refresh and recharge for some emotional intelligence for what? The future, because it will unfold and it will arrive, right? So do we want to do it with anger, resentment, fear, purposefulness, patience? How do we want to show up in the next moment? And I also like to say, when it comes to any kind of practice, it's so difficult. It's simple. It's like you have a coin and it's the same coin, but there's two sides to that coin. And everything has an opposite effect. So if I ask you the opposite of love, you have an opposite of that. Anger, you have an opposite of that. Joy, illness, health. So I ask you tonight during this call, as I try to land in two different zones in teaching mode, mindfulness, meditation, resilience, and emotional intelligence mode, and then me just trying to show up and be real and talk about this crazy cancer story. I just invite you every once in a while, I might just even stop the conversation to do something on purpose with everybody. And that is, at any given moment, if you do practice enough, you've trained the brain to be in that wonderful, purposeful place of who's in charge. I'm in charge. Even though we can't control things all the time, and heck, control's such an illusion. It's such an illusion. Expectation, grasping, ruminating, illusion. But what I can do is take a full breath and a full moment to show up again for you, for me, for service, and then the next moment to make a better decision. And we find the biggest and best corporations or the small little boutique, small mom and pops are the best relationships or the best way that people can pass away. It's fully in the present moment of what is. So hopefully
Love.
that landed with people out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
love it. Let's start and go into your story, and then we'll go into doing some meditation with everybody. So tell us
Great.
about what is a genetic cancer, and
Yeah. So
more particular, because I think that it's very important for people to understand the genetics part of it, and to be aware and do the research that they need to, because they have some family history, and use that history to their advantage.
Hmm. Yes. So, it's kind of an interesting thing, working in the field, with doctors and people who and geneticists and a whole group of people who study this stuff. And so there's the notion that 5 to 10%, up to about 10% of people have locked and loaded in their gene pool um, a weak link in the gene. That's it. Everything could be working really good, and the links are great. The links are great, and there's a weak link there. And it doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get any kind of cancer or illness or any of those things at all. But this is where my ego kind of plays a role, and I'm going to kind of squash it a little bit. And you're going to stay with me, just stay with me, people. Is that when you think you do everything right in life, like I got my list, you think you do it all right, you show up, making all the right decisions, at least think I am. And all of a sudden, this thing called genetic cancer hits you, and you're within that zone, a kind of a rare zone of 5 to 10% of people that have different types of cancers, whether it's colon cancer, or it's brain cancer, or lung cancer, or breast cancer. You just kind of name them out, right? There's a lot of C's out there. And it happened to me, and I think I'm doing all the right things. I exercise, I meditate, I think good thoughts, I'm good to people, I eat food, keep my sugar low. I'm like exhausted with myself already. And then it happened to me. So really, it's just I've Lynch syndrome, dis-ease. Some people have BRCA1 or BRCA2, something like that manifests in the body. It's really just a weak link in the body. And it doesn't mean you're going to get cancer. It means that it's important for people, if they have a mother or father or a grandmother, grandma, grandpa, aunt or uncle, and there is a pattern of certain types of cancers. My recommendation, I do a lot of education ambassador work with nonprofits. My recommendation is to go speak with your doctor. And if your medical doctor doesn't have good hearing, go to your functional medicine doctor. Your functional medicine doctor is like, you go to your integrative health physician. I think it's really important that if someone says, well, I'm not going to write a prescription for that, or no, you don't fit the bill, because I got that. You're healthy, you do the right things, must be perimenopause, you got some hot flashes, all of these things, right? Because they got the script. I'm not fitting in the script, but they want to actually give you a prescription. You're not fitting in the script, as we all know. Oftentimes there could be a genetic misfire. And it's a very, very simple thing to really advocate for yourself. If not, you find a patient advocate for yourself, and you get this simple thing done. And you really check the long list of different types of genes to see if there is just a little bit of a weak link. Now, if there is a weak link, what's one of the things that could put stress on any link? Poor diet, not enough exercise, not enough sleep. It's not like a lot of stuff, guys. You don't have to do it every day. And stress. So, although I thought, I must be a really positive person all the time, and I am, my body was under some kind of stress. So, and I'm doing all the right things, and it still happened to me. So, if it happened to me, it can happen to you. And my role in life, I think, is to help people reduce stress and deal with prevention. Prevention is the new cure. Don't wait till you have something. Prevent it before you got it. And if you do have something, what? We'd rather if it's not a late stage. So, to recap that, you want to make sure you talk to your MD. If your MD doesn't have great hearing, you go talk to your functional medicine or integrative health practitioner. Ask the conversation, open up this wonderful dialogue. And sometimes it's so uncomfortable because it feels like it feels intrusive. We don't want to talk about the disease word, but kind of figure out what's going on with your heritage. Find out what mom had, what dad had, grandma, grandpa. Ask some really great questions. Ask some great questions. Kind of be your own scientist in a really emotional, intelligent way, and get those genes kind of checked out. Get those genes checked out. So one of the things that I know that I'm proud of myself is that I've done so much mindfulness and meditative work that when something doesn't feel right, ladies out there, when something doesn't feel right for a long period of time, so I can say, gee, what's a long period of time? Something that's happening for about 3 weeks consistently, that's long enough for something to start to really stretch and strain and break a weak link in your genes or in anything that's going on. That's inflaming the body. You want to go and get that checked. And through mindfulness, meditation, and body scanning, we can zone in specifically in the area that is the problem area because my big toe's fine, right? My shoulder's great, but my pelvic girdle really hurts, right? So if you're more specific and you're starting to journal through that process, you then go with what? Some emotional intelligence, and your doctor will pay attention more.
Love it.
Yeah.
We will have a conversation after this call.
Yeah, yeah, and more than and to kind of land in to pick up the story a little bit more, it's one of the frustrating things, and I know, God, ladies, I want to hear from you really, if you've been there. I know you have. I go to the um, when I was teaching the class, many times I knew something was really wrong, but I was teaching a mindfulness and meditation class, and I had men and women in my class, and we were all circled up, and we were doing body scans and talk about stress and showing slides and all kinds of stuff. And I couldn't feel anything. And I just remember saying, like when you see people, they're like looking at you and they're looking down, you kind of watch their body language. And all of a sudden I looked down and I had blood on my pants. And I was in my class. Whew, and I had a couple of men in the class. So you take a pause on that one. And so I thought, well, now I'm in those two zones, right? I have the stimuli and there's the response I can come up with, but there's the gap of feeling nervous and uncomfortable and scared, but I want to show up fully for myself and my people and my class. And I also thought, well, God, this is kind of a teaching moment. So what do? You show up fully and authentically, and I excuse myself. I end the class. Of course, I'm nervous. My heart's pounding right here. My sternum is really tight. That's what happens in the temple, right? Your sternum gets really tight. Your stomach feels really funny. I start feeling hot flashes coming, and I'm so scared and nervous. And I end the class as graciously as I can. And of course, the next day, I make an appointment. I go see the doctor. I rarely see an OBGYN. It happens to be a man. Now, ladies, I'm okay with men. Yay, male doctors, great. And of course, we're going to put a lot of humor into this. I like to put humor in some crazy stuff. It's healthy for you. But I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable, legs in the air, the boobs out. I just don't get there. Right? I have an amen out there. It's not for me. And so, and then when I wouldn't do the whole examination, his idea was, well, you have hot flash, trying to tell me what's going on with me, and he's a man. I get the science behind it, but he said, what we probably should do right now is put you on a prescription of Prozac. I told him about the bleeding. I told him about everything that was happening for quite some time. And he said, well, when ladies like you are in perimenopause and your estrogen is declining, we should try to balance out your hormones with some birth control pills. And we should go and put you on some Prozac. I said, but I'm not depressed. If we keep having this conversation, I'm going to get depressed. Right? So keep that conversation up. And he says, well, the science shows that ladies who take certain type of Effexor and Prozac, the science is pretty good that it will reduce your hot flashes and decrease the swelling in your pelvic girdle as you're going through perimenopause. He has no clue what's going on with me. So myself being in integrative health and been in health and fitness my whole life and someone who definitely advocates for myself and others, I said, keep the prescription pad in your pocket. Really appreciate your time, but basically you're fired. So, right. It's like this is it. We're all this is now business. This is the business of my body. Ladies, it's the business of your body. And so I went ahead and went about my day. And throughout the next couple of weeks, guys, lots and lots of bleeding, clots and bleeding and fear, but still trying to work and do mediation and classes and run stores and do all this stuff that women do. We just keep on going and just put on our big girl pants and keep on going. And I was watching, kind of halfway watching, as I was doing something in the kitchen, the Dr. Oz show. And I have the document on my website. I can give it to you or give you the site or whatever. I want to give it away for free. I just want to give it away. I was watching the Dr. Oz show halfway. And you know when sometimes you're meant to pay attention? And Dr. Oz says, the silent killer of women. If you have these 5 symptoms, don't walk, run, and go print down this test or this quiz on my website. And then immediately, if you're 3 out of 5, go to your doctor. And I went, oh my God, he's talking about me. So, like a good little student, I go over to my computer, I print the thing down. I was 5 out of 5. So
Wow.
here, and this was for the first cancer. And so, mind you, to put this in context, in the last 5 years, I've had 2 cancers, 2 surgeries, 2 after cancer care and supports, and 2 female cancers, uterine cancer, and then breast cancer and a partial mastectomy. So anyway, so I print down the thing, and again, I'm a mindfulness meditation instructor, and in retail management and leadership, I got this. I look at it and went, those damn doctors, they're not paying attention to us. They're not paying attention to us. And okay, so I went down to the doctor's office, which was very close to my home in Northern California. At the time, I lived in Northern California and South Florida. And I had the Dr. Oz document, you guys, and hopefully you'll print it down, you'll take it or give it to someone you love, or you'll use it yourself. But I put it up on the little plexiglass window thing, and I put it up, and they looked at it, and the nurse said, hold on a minute. And she goes to get the doctor. The doctor cancels her appointment, brought me in immediately. I gave her the thing, and she says, Gina, I'm so sorry. We should have been looking at your genes. She can clearly see. My brother died at 29 of colon cancer. My mom has had the uterine cancer. Mom has had the tummy cancer, the uterine cancer. She's had the colon cancer. She's had the breast cancer. My granny, my Japanese granny, passed away of colon cancer. So I'm like the last one, kind of like on the list type of a thing. You kind of see a pattern here, right, ladies? It's kind of a pattern. So finally, she took it seriously. She took me seriously. Went to do some genetic testing, came out positive for some Lynch, and literally inside of a couple of days, my husband was called and said, "Can you please come in the office? We got something to share with you and your wife." And that's when I was diagnosed with uterine cancer. Fast growing type of a thing, but caught it super early. But because it's a genetic link, it means definitely, no kids are in the cards on that one. But because it's something, because so many people in my family passed away with colon cancer, next to your front of your beautiful organs, ladies, the back of that is your colon, right? Or your kidneys. So if it happens to get out, it's going to go definitely in the wrong direction. So we took out the uterus, we took out the cervix, we tossed the tubes. I mean, like every piece of plumbing you could possibly imagine. Let's just get rid of it. Why? Because that particular area of the beautiful body is a container. And so you really want to nip it in the bud, as they say. You got to get rid of all that stuff. So I did. And then went into surgeries and after cancer care and all that. Then a year later, I diagnosed myself with breast cancer. A year later, so here we go again with all of that stuff as well. And then breast cancer, and then went into surgeries and all of those other things as well. And I just have to say, through that time, this is the reason why prevention is the new cure, right? Because one, don't beat yourself up, but also be your best patient advocate. When there is something consistently going on, and mindfulness and meditation could help you get to the core of that, and you have your journal and you have your documentation, you can go armed with an intelligent conversation to get the help you need. So I am grateful to even be alive today, to even hang out with you guys to share the story of how to find the signs. And I like to go over the signs, especially if ladies have a pen and paper. I like to be able to go over some of the specific signs in case something is going on in their life.
Yes, let's do it. I have my pen and paper.
Yeah. So ladies out there, and again, please, questions, whatever you want to go through. This is our conversation. This is our time. I'm not a boohoo kind of girl. I probably should cry more. I like to be better at that. Um, but I do think that uh, for me, everyone has their like little unique gifts. But for me, humor. Oh, I see you there. Yeah, awesome. 1989 went through a lot. Yes, chemo. Yes, yes, yes. Take a pause on that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, so we all know, ladies, as we grow a little older and more fabulous, of course, is that this this elixir that we all need of testosterone and estrogen and progesterone and all of those wonderful hormones take a deep dive. And with my type of cancers, I have an estrogen-based cancer. It means no hormone replacement therapy until about sometime maybe next year, having that conversation. So I use food as medicine to stabilize whatever hormones I have left. But what happens when you're at a younger age, um, and all those things are just estrogen as you have it one day, you don't have it the next day, you're immediately thrown into like, 55, 60, 65 into not only not only in meno, but in post. So I went from nothing, just crisis, to post menopause. And that means some pretty severe hot flashes, like my brain would freeze, it'd pull over on side of the road and all of those things, and almost feeling embarrassed to have hot flashes. I mean, how many out there have had hot flashes and you feel like I'm embarrassed when I'm having a flash? I'm like in that moment. And food is because I don't really do anything, but food is medicine, a lot of meditation, a lot of yoga, a lot of bone strengthening exercises. But it's really important to do things to lower the volume with stress in order to lower the volume with hot flashes. Very important to increase and stabilize the hormone base that you do have, even if you don't have any cancers, right? So over the age of so-called 45, you start to see a lot of things kind of start to get, I call it get wonky. Gets wonky and gets funky. So honor it, journal it, maybe meditate through it, be mindful around it, and create this new, refreshed, revitalized you. Otherwise, sometimes depression can set in. Your body holds on to sugar, it doesn't want to let it go. Things start to happen. And when things start to happen, that chain that you have in your body gets weaker and weaker and weaker. So it's all about increasing those genetic links that are working really well in our body. Super important. So number one. So again, with the the prevention model, it is if you feel the body gets inflamed and there's inflammation, really for no reason, I'm not talking about having an extra slice of pizza. So if the body's starting to get inflamed exponentially over, let's say, a quarter, 3, 4 months, that is a reason to get an inflammation marker check. Now, your medical MD doesn't like to do it. It's not part of their protocol, but you can tell them they need to do it. So that's extremely important to understand that if there's inflammation in the body, it's kind of if I lit a match in my body, it's going to be inflamed. We want to turn down the flame in the body. So if the body is feeling inflamed, note that. If the breasts are red, like spotty red, note it. If they're itchy, now we all have itchy boobs, but I'm talking if it's itchy constantly in one spot, note it, please. If there's any discharge, unusual discharge in the lower part of the body or in the breasts, note it. If you're craving sugar, an unusual amount of sugar, normally it's tied to low serotonin levels, out of whack. There might be a problem with the specific estrogen in your body. So if you're craving sugar and you didn't 6 months ago and you really are now, please note. And the same thing would be for salt, but sugar is going to be at the top of the list there. If you're irritable, often, I'm talking your fuse is short, note it. Is your eyesight going? And it's going quickly, like inside of that 1 or 2 years, you go get your eyes checked, note it. If your bones start to feel like they're hurting and your joints are swelling, I'm talking like inside the joint, the synovial fluid lives, note it. P for patience. If you're noticing that your patience, we all get impatient, but if constantly that's a short fuse tied to patience, tied to inflammation, tied to that sugar craving, note it. If the lower part of your gut, right, the lower part of your pelvic girdle, your belly, feels a little swollen, feels a little tender, beyond whatever's your normal or your swollen, whatever that is for you, note it. Okay? So those are the things that are going to be really, it's going to stand out, and that's going to be key that you can say, I have these top 5 things going on. And again, you can print down the document too. These 5 things or these 4 things are going on. It's been going on for a while. And I need to look at my genes potentially, and I need to zone in on the areas of the body that are not working right. And here are some of these real symptoms. You're going to get the attention you need.
Fantastic. But you
Okay.
said the general doctor doesn't.
Yeah, it's very difficult, right? And test it. So if you go into your Western MD, oftentimes they're not doing the proper, vitamin D. And of course, if that vitamin D is low, if it's low chronically, mine was completely like way below 20, and okay, I didn't know. I thought I'll just work out more.
Oh, I
I,
had 11 on my vitamin D. I went to the
right,
doctor
right.
not long ago, and I said to him, something is wrong. He says, Miriam, you're very stressed. I said, I know, but something else is wrong. I said, I want a blood test. And he checked my vitamin D. He called me the next day and he said, I've never seen a patient with such low vitamin D. And now I take prescription vitamin D weekly.
Yes,
So
yes.
I didn't even know to check it. He checked, but I demanded a blood test.
Good for you. But let's take a moment on that though. To have to demand something when those symptoms and signs, part of the reason why you have to push that envelope with a Western MD, it's because it's not in their training or in their protocol. It's just not. So, and I've been in integrative health for such a long time and advocating for myself and others for such a long time. Hey guys, thanks. Is that um, the Western doctor will tell you why you shouldn't do it. But a functional medicine doctor does what? Looks at genes and looks at your cells, gets to the root cause of you, not the symptom part of you, right? Believe me, if I break my leg, I'll have an amen out there. If I break my leg, I want a Western doctor all day long. I'm running to the emergency room, fix this leg. We're brilliant, amazing, and wonderful for that kind of broken thing. But when it comes from deep inside of you, only you can discover the broken parts or the cracked parts or the chipped parts that are this beautiful part of you that's saying, hey, you, pay attention, attend to you. That's going to be integrative health or functional medicine because you're going to be heard, people. Yeah, I see that. Yes, yes, yes. I got it. I got it. Again, these are the things. So I want to make sure we're staying on point because I want to help you. Those are signs, some symptoms, a little bit about genes. Prevention is the new cure. Before you're fully in, the oh my God, my life is like completely turned upside down. We want to really get on top of it. And sometimes women, especially, um, we've got so much going on. We've got so much going on. We sometimes put ourselves last on the list. But self care is not selfish care. Self care is not selfish. It's going to make you a better you, a stronger you, and more resilient you so you can fully show up. And that is what EI is. Emotional intelligence is something that we can train in. We can train in it. We can train it up. And not the old pattern of us, right? But the new pattern of us. And that is, wow, let me plug in some journaling. Let me see if there's a pattern going on here. Let me have those important conversations with my loved ones about a genetic pattern, or maybe there is 3 or 4 people in the family in the direct line that has an interesting illness. right? Oftentimes people might pass away of a heart attack, but there was other things that were going on for a really, really long time.
Yeah,
So
and
it's just really, really, really
and
important stuff. So, and again, I want to thank, if Dr. Oz is out there listening, thank you so much for your sheet. I'm now giving it away for free to everybody because let me tell you, I have to say, when I ran down with that, filled that document to my doctor and put on that little plexiglass, it was like, oh, she means some business.
yeah. I wanted just to say something, Gina,
Please.
because when my husband had a stroke, we came to the hospital. We were shocked beyond belief that he had had a stroke. He's thin, right? He looked healthy, and they did a blood test, and he had such high sugar, and they
Mm,
said, "Did you know you were a diabetic?" And we didn't know that he was a diabetic. And one of the reasons was there was diabetics in the family, but they didn't
mm,
share. They
right,
didn't communicate. So
right.
it's extremely important. I went live like 4 days later when we got home from the hospital. The first thing that I did was ask people, please go get your annual tests.
Mm,
And if you have any kind of disease like that, cancers, heart disease, diabetes, give the opportunity to your family members to do something about it, because the knowledge of it can save their lives. I felt very cheated
mm.
that we didn't know that there was so many people diabetic in my husband's family. This could have been
Yes.
prevented.
And you,
So
you, you just made the point so beautifully is that prevention is the key, and shame sometimes and embarrassment sometimes takes us over. And so
yeah.
well, I'll just push that under the rug. Well, I'm here as the superpower girl. I'm gonna give you all some superpower. Is that mindfulness, meditation, emotional intelligence allows you eventually, because you're training the brain for something as emotional intelligence for yourself and other, is to actually ask better questions. I think sometimes we skirt around the issue. We put
Yeah.
a lot of, frosting on it. But I think it's really important to write things down, rehearse them if you need to, get up a little superpower strength, mindfully communicate, mindfully listen. And we can do that in a practice. And that is to ask better questions, right? Ask better questions. And I'm here to just support women and say, hey, look, it has been a rough road sometimes in the past 5 years of going, well, this can't happen to me because I do all these great things. Well, let me tell you, I got knocked upside the head, from a gene perspective, and then going, geez, now what about the ladies and men out there that are not as mindful about their mind, their body, and their spirit, right? I happen to be pretty mindful, and this still happened. So I feel like it is almost like, I don't know, I'm compelled to just get out there in a way that hopefully is totally non judgmental awareness. Who am I? Is that is to say, hey, look, show up for yourself, show up for other people, but there's a way to do it, and we can do that through practice. We can do it through practice.
I can't wait for you to lead us on one of that.
Mm, mm,
Let's
mm.
do it.
Yes. So, may we do a little practice now while we close? Is that
Yeah,
okay?
that's
So,
perfect.
I think the first thing I'd like to ask, because I don't want to assume, is that how many people out there, if I could like a little shout out, how many people out there have a mindfulness or a meditation practice currently? Hey, hey, guys, come on, don't be shy. I have a mindfulness meditation practice out there currently, right? Um, Yay, nay, I got something, I don't have anything.
No answers. They're sleeping. They're already getting into their mindfulness.
I love it. I love it. So then with that said, the important part is to understand, usually I'm teaching either one-on-one or retreats or small or large groups, but I think it's important for us, especially during the holiday, right, and the winding down the year, is to offer you a practice. You can do any, no, but I need to. Thanks, Penny. I appreciate that. Is to offer something to do anywhere, anytime, And something that is, and I've had a lot of people say, but hey, Gina, you don't have 20 minutes to hang out and sit on a cushion all day. Can you give it to me in less than 5 minutes? And the answer is yes, I can. And no, you don't want to do just 5 minutes all the time. It's important to stretch the brain, stretch the mind for mindfulness training. But I think in this practice, let's go ahead and talk for a moment about beginner's mind, because that will help. And everything I'm saying is quite intentional. And that is, and you can put it in the chat, when I say beginner's mind, what do you think of? When I say we're going to do a beginner's mind practice, what do you think of? And I do, and I'm oh, fabulous. Yes, yes, thank you, Leslie. Yes, yes. And so here's the thing, and Leslie can probably attest to this, is that beginner's mind is, no matter if you've never done this before, or we think we're so-called experts, right? I promise you this, we are all showing up at this moment, this time, the first time together, are we not? And beginner's mind, if you can think of being a child, everything was a beginning. My walking, my riding the bike, my falling down, myself getting back up, learning how to speak. Beginner's mind is really coming to anything in your life with childlike nature, as if I'm doing it for the first time. And what happens when you talk to your brain like that, it wakes you up for what? To pay attention differently and not bring our oh so smart resume self to the table. So I know we're all amazing and brilliant and have lots of, lots of this and lots of that. But beginner's mind is saying, welcome to my beginner's mind. I'm showing up for the first time. And now the next thing is, I'm going to pretend that no one's done this before. The next thing is really posture, right? So we don't want to get hooked into anything that's really strict or stringent. But what would be a posture that creates what? Wakefulness. Wakefulness. So I'm first going to ask you to make sure that your legs are uncrossed and your feet are on the ground. So your feet are on the ground. If you want to turn off the light, feel free to do so. So the feet are on the ground. With your mind's eye, please scan under your feet. Go now. And how the bottom of your feet are making contact with the ground, with the earth, the ground, feet. Please scan under your feet one more time. Go now. Nice. And then how am I sitting? So if you're lying down because you don't feel well or the body doesn't feel as comfortable, whatever it may be, where is your bum touching the chair, the mattress, the cushion, the floor, whatever it is? Where does your seat land, metaphorically and physically? So just with your mind's eye, know the base of the spine making contact. And now the spine itself, as I ask you to lift, lift, lift the spine, and as the top of that spine clicks and connects to the base of the brain, please scan the top of the spine and the base of the brain for just a brief moment of awareness. Go now. Nice. And it's about the body being, not really erect and stiff, but what? You're telling the brain it's not time to go to asleep. It's time to wake up. Wake up. I'm talking to the neurons. And my hands. So palms up, or palms down, palms down. Whatever feels comfortable for you, there's no wrong way or right way. But palms up does allow for a little bit more openness. You might find some heat, tickle, tingle, itchy in the center of your palm. Or palms down, feeling like I'm being held a little bit more. So I'm going to invite you again. Please take your seat and sit with dignity, whatever that means for you. Welcome to the meditation on breath. I'm going to ask you to recognize where the breath is entering the body now. Where is this breath entering this body at this time. Well, how do we know that? Follow it and follow me. Follow it. In the nostrils, possibly. How do I know? Tickle, tingly, hot, cold. Maybe my breath lands in the back of my throat. It's dry. Maybe I don't even notice it in my nose, but I feel it in my sternum, down to the guts of me, down to my belly. It doesn't matter. What matters is meditate and follow this very breath at this time. Go now, inhale to inhale, follow the breath all the way through its cycle, not forcing it, but with awareness, following it. And as the body exhales, it's simply allow it to exhale however it's going to do that. But no, we're unloading carbon and toxins and cortisol, possibly stress of the day. We're unpacking, unloading, exhale. Now I'm going to ask you to inhale again, follow the breath. Please go now. And as we allow the body to exhale, whenever it does that, can we follow the exhalation all the way through? Now, for the next 10 seconds, I'm not going to narrate, but I am going to say if the brain goes downstream in the mind stream of thoughts 99 times into the past, into the future, I don't like this, I like this, it's okay. We reel it back to what? The meditation on breath. So take your seat, sit with dignity, up, up, spine, spine. Where are your hands? Closing your eyes or keeping them open, whatever's comfortable for you. Welcome again to the meditation on breath. Please inhale to inhale and follow the breath. Go now. And as you exhale, with intention and purpose, just simply exhale, people. There's no wrong way or right way. It's just a focus and a meditation on breath. It's so simple, it's hard. It's so difficult, it's easy. I'm now going to ask you for a brief moment. Again, beginner's mind, we're showing up together. Let's do a brief meditation on the body. Please take your seat one more time and sit with dignity. Where are your feet? Where is your spine? Your hands? Eyes opened or closed? Welcome to the mindful check-in. You can do this anytime, anywhere. Usually, I like 5 minutes on this one. I'm going to try to land it inside of 4 minutes for you. Welcome to the mindful check-in. The check-in is simply anytime, anywhere to say stop. S stands for full stop in the brain. You say it out loud or you say it inside. T, take a breath, a full inhalation all the way in. We're going to follow and watch the breath. Stay with it, not in the past, not in the future. O, observe. Observe what? Observe yourself being yourself, maybe from a helicopter view. Scanning yourself like a helicopter view. Where am I at? What am I doing? Where am I at? Where are my feet? What am I doing? Go, no go. What's the stimuli in my life? What is my response? Ah, stop. I'm right here in the gap. O for observe yourself. P, proceed. Proceed. Proceed with the next moment that unfolds in your life, whatever shows up. Comfortable, uncomfortable, or neutral. We're usually landing and living in 3 zones: uncomfortable, comfortable, or neutral. Again, welcome to the mindful check-in. One more minute. I'd like for you to scan your body ever so briefly. Usually I do this for 45 minutes and I scan each part. I'm asking you for a brief moment, people, to scan your feet Raise your awareness to your shins, to your knees, please, with attention and awareness behind your knees, a soft palate behind your knees. Raise your awareness to your thighs, that long, beautiful muscle belly on the thigh. And now land some attention to the center of the body, your pelvic girdle. Scan it inside, outside, all around. Maybe it's in circles, maybe you're dotting it, you're hopscotching through it. Scan it. Land some awareness on the belly button, please. Lovely. Lifting the attention and awareness through the sternum. Land it in your very heart. Deep breath all the way in the heart. Land it in the heart. Feel it go there for just a moment. Exhale all the way out. Nice. And please open your eyes and return back to the room. And once you return back to the room, please lift your eyes to the left and down, and center and down, upright and down, and center out. Beautiful. Welcome back, everybody. And thank you so much for your attention, for that brief little pause as we talk to the brain and dust off some neurons to pay attention for what's unfolding and coming next.
This was so amazing. I was completely in the zone, even though everybody's looking at my face.
I was there with you. I was there with you. And normally, it takes a long time, a good 6 to 8 weeks we find when we put the brains in an fMRI scan to really see different things lighting up for attention, focus and attention, getting out of the default mode network and fully into present moment awareness. But I just want to say again, as we're landing and running down the clock, is that please know that wherever you're at, there's no wrong way or right way as long as we're breathing. Just take that stop, S-T-O-P, stop, take a breath, observe, proceed to the next moment, to the next moment. Please pay attention to those cancer prevention tips.
Oh, amazing. We have 3 minutes, but I have a question for you. So I'm not going to even ask other people. I have a question.
Go for it.
How did you handle the emotional aspect when you got the diagnosis? And because you were very in tune with yourself and you have this gift of mindfulness, and I know you personally, so I know that this is you, because a lot of people, they put up a front, they put up a facade. I know the person that you are, and I know how centered you are and collected and kind. How did you handle that diagnosis? Because I think that when you hear something so shocking that you weren't expecting, it's like the rug has been pulled from under you. How did you manage to come back to that mindfulness place? Because a lot of people in the group, if they're stroke survivors or they're going through adversity, they're going through health issues, it's that first moment. I think that if you're able to come back as soon as possible to a place of positivity, it's going to grow the positivity from that point. But if you fall so deep into deep depression, it's much harder to elevate yourself, and you need that positivity for healing. So
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about, like, that first moment you got the diagnosis. How did you do anything specific that we can learn from you if we had to go through any kind of bad diagnosis or things like that?
Yes, the first thing, I had my husband with me, which was obviously a fantastic thing to have a support system. But I think that whether you have a support system or no support system, the support system is you. So I just want to say that because I know these are brave women out there, and I know that they get what I'm saying really at the core. The first thing I thought of was, no, got to be a mistake. Remember, my ego, not me. Did all the right things. Yes, me. Second thing I thought was, everything I know is temporary in nature, and that does come from practice. Hear me roar, ladies. Everything is temporary in nature, including that anchoring of the breath practice we just did until you take your last one. So when you know that, you have an immediate, oh, okay. The brain goes into a wonderful place in the amygdala to really kind of help you survive. We got that too, right? We're hardwired that way. The next thing is use the emotional intelligence. You have it. You have the EI. You have resilience. You have the emotional intelligence. I know that you do. Ask really good question. Almost treat it like it's a business for just a moment. We can fall apart later. I'm not saying don't fall apart. I'm not saying boo-hoo all day long and grab the cookies. But I'm saying for a moment do that. For a little while do that. But you still need to work on the business of the body and get back to it. And I don't mean to hardcore. I kind of do in a way. My dad was, military. So I have to say that it's really important that you actually come back to yourself because the resources are inside of you. We just have to discover it and open up and understand that it's inside of you and know it, right? Once you know it and you believe it, then I go, okay, what's next for the next moment? No matter what happens, whether I make it, I don't make it, what's next in the next moment?
Gina, first of all, we are so in tune. It's so freaking scary. We had that whole conversation about patience while you were putting that sign of patience on your mental. And when this just happened, and I want you to know that today I was writing a speech that I'm going to do in April. And I know that I'm working on it like crazy early, right? Think about it. In December, and I'm writing my speech that I'm giving in April. And in this speech that I wrote today, I wrote about handling your healing like a business. And I talked, and it's ridiculous because you're saying that, and I wrote that like 3 hours ago, and I can show it to you.
Love it.
And I feel the same way because it's interesting when we're working on our businesses, we're very, we look, we say this needs to be done. We understand what's uncomfortable about the business, but needs to be done right away, right? And we do it because we understand what's at stake. But when it comes to ourselves and our health, it becomes all about the emotion and not about the steps that you need to take to move forward to get better. And I talked exactly about it. It's like super scary. I just want to give you a hug. I know that you're feeling the hug because I'm feeling like this super, super, super connection with you know that we're in sync in so many ways.
But well, may I say before we sign off for people, because this is something that is so important, and I don't want anyone to think that that I don't land it in my heart eventually. It takes me a little bit of time, but we know that the science of the heart math, it's very, very important to go from here in the CEO part of the brain, right? And land it here into the heart math. Feel it down into the gut, mindfulness meditation. We need to land, lock and load and land and feel all of those things. I call it the mind stream of things. It's really, really important to do that because otherwise you're going to trick yourself. The stress is still there. So if you have a genetic cancer, that weak link it's not going to be good. So yes, the business of the body, we can do it, ladies. We run our households, please. On how much stuff do we do? But then I want you to think it, I want you to feel it, I want you to land it, and I want you to go. Because discover it inside of you.
And Gina, what you said about that everything is temporary. My mother gave me a ring that says this too shall pass. And I was talking to my mother about the whole concept of this too shall pass because I told her this too shall pass, even the good stuff shall pass, right? So it's not such a positive thing. King Solomon said that. Yeah. And I said, and she says, yes, you have to remember that everything is temporary. The good will pass, new good will come, the bad will pass, and then, it's just life. And remembering that everything is temporary, remembering that pain is temporary, everything. And then we have to be so grateful for when we have the good, because that's also temporary.
Yes, and please, I don't want anyone to get mad at me either. I'm a born cheerleader, truly. And I also say I want to be mindful of how much are we cheerleading through life, right? Because being with people who are like positive and cheerleading all the time, they're kind of irritating. And I've been told that even myself. Truth be told, because it really just it's inside of me. So I always want to be mindful when I say that and say yes, it's important to feel all those things, but people, mind, body, spirit connection really means the business of those things for yourself and discovering it within. And the more you practice, the more you will do it automatically without thinking of it all the time. And that will help you when crisis lands at your door or joy lands at your door, for sure. And so I definitely know how we're going to land this stuff. I want to make sure I'm giving people the download. They can go to
Yes.
my website or whatever.
Yes. So
I just want to make sure people have it.
yeah. So then give me the links. Give me everything. The good thing, guys, is that Gina is part of our group. She's an active member of our group. So she'll
Yes.
always be there and available. And I always put everybody's link in case anybody wants to talk to you, hire
Anytime.
you, whatever.
Anytime.
They can reach out to you. So you'll send me all the links or anything you want to give away. I'll make a post and we'll go from there. I want to thank everybody. Thank you for staying a little longer. I think this
Thank you guys. I appreciate it for staying longer. Please reach out. I want to connect and help any way that I can. Give me a call.
Thank you, everybody. I love you all. And until next week.
Till next time. Bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.